This is such an amazing story. Today's artist was abandoned by his mother when he was only 3 years old. Years later, when he was in high school, his art teacher said something that inspired him to try his hand at songwriting. Now, his first try was a song about ice cream. But his second try, it was a song that was so far ahead of his 17 years, it was shocking. It was a deeply methodical song about loss and regret and abandonment. He worked hard for years to get it heard, but when he finally got it released, it failed to chart. Then one of the 80s biggest singers praised the song on one of the biggest radio stations in America, and it immediately rose to #1. Then out of nowhere, his absent mother reached out to him. Find out what happened next, the incredible story of one of the true classics of the 80s. It's coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Now, if you've ever owned your favorite album on cassette, record, and CD, all three formats, you're going to dig this channel. Just subscribe below to get our content daily, the story straight from the legends. And also make sure to visit professorofrock.com. We have our new merch there, including our brand new Vintage Years collection, where we have the big four of a classic year in music. We also have Professor of Rock merch there as well. So check that out. Also, take a look at our exclusive content at Patreon. Now, both of these things help us curate this channel and produce more interviews and more videos to keep the music alive. You know, as I've gotten older, I've rediscovered songs from my past, like you, have somehow become deeper, more meaningful than when they were first introduced to me in my adolescence. Songs that didn't fully resonate with me when I first heard them because maybe I was too young or I hadn't had enough life experiences to really feel their full emotional power. Holding Back the Years by Simply Red is one such song.
Holding back the years.
You know, when I first heard it back in 1986 as a young kid, I really liked it. I mean, I recognized that it was a great song. It was haunting for sure, but it didn't wholly affect me. I mean, I didn't truly understand its full range and its perplexity. That is until I got older, and then the song hit me with just a tsunami of emotion. Holding back the years, thinking of the fear I'd had so long.
Thinking of the fear I've had so long.
When somebody hears, listen to the fear that's gone.
When somebody hears.
I mean, I had a reawakening of sorts, rediscovering that incredible, introspective treasure. Nowadays, when I begin to play Holding Back the Years, you know, I have to turn off the world around me. No distractions, no cell phones, no devices, no talking, no outside noises of any kind. All I want is that tonic music in my ears. For 4 minutes and 29 seconds, I just want to feel that achingly beautiful masterpiece of reflection.
I've wasted all my tears.
Searching my soul to ruminate over all that's happened in my life. You know, the sadness, the regret, the loss, the wasted opportunities. I kind of revel in the melancholy.
Wasted all those years.
And then triumphantly, after Mick Hucknall's climactic wailing as the song nears its close, without fail, I rise out of the brooding past with precious contemplation, thirsting for the joy of the present and a restorative yearning to hold back the years. I'm not the only one that has found cathartic stimulation in Holding Back the Years. I mean, after all, it was an international smash. But similar to our journey through life, the song stumbled along a rocky course to reach a redemptive pinnacle of mass endearment. Yes, I was a late bloomer with Holding Back the Years in a way. I was well into adulthood before the song really, hit home with me because I finally had perspective. And I was stunned to learn that the song was composed by a lad living in Greater Manchester, England, who was only 17 years young. I still shake my head when I consider that Mick Hucknall, the curly, ginger-haired frontman for the band Simply Red, He was just a teenager when he penned that dazzling masterpiece of a song.
I'll keep holding on.
The process of writing Holding Back the Years was motivated by one of the instructors at the Manchester School of Art where Mick was a student. The teacher gave a lecture on why he believed that the greatest paintings are created when the artist is motivated from a stream of consciousness. Just letting go and just rolling with the flow. Mick applied that free association approach to his songwriting, and he wrote 2 songs. Now, the first song that he wrote, that was called Ice Cream and Wafers. The second song that he came up with was Holding Back the Years.
Keep holding on.
Virtually all the tracks Mick has written over his long career, very personal. But Holding Back the Years was candidly autobiographical, sharing the pain of rejection and abandonment when his mother walked out on him and his father when he was only 3 years old, just a child. His mother's departure, of course, left an emotional scar that really never healed. Mick confided that he didn't realize what Holding Back the Years was truly about until it was entirely finished, and then the meaning was all too clear. Straight from Mick's heart, Holding Back the Years is a song about that moment when you know you have to leave your home to make your mark, but the outside world is scary, so you're holding back the years.
Holding back the years.
The line, strangled by the wishes of Pater, referred to his father or Pater screaming at him during one of their many heated arguments.
Strangled by the wishes of Pater.
I guess the two often clashed during Mick's teenage years because there was no motherly protection to help mediate. Although Mick's father dutifully provided for his only child, I guess he was never supportive, very supportive of Mick's music career. Music was what Mick wanted to do, and he got an earful from his working class father when he was a club at a DJ and playing soul and reggae records when he was 16. Even after the success of Simply Red's multi-platinum third album, A New Flame, and Mick had accumulated great wealth at that point. His dad, a longtime barber, still insisted that he needed to get a decent job after all the music nonsense was over.
It's only love that you're giving.
As we further dissect this song, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni. I wear the glasses that I wear every day. Now, right now at Zenni.com, you can go design your newest style with hundreds of choices. You can actually get 2 to 3 pair of different frames for about the same price as one pair would cost you anywhere else. You can add amazing features like Blue Blocks, my favorite. That protects your eyes from digital blue light that we come into contact every day. So check it out. Holding Back the Years is credited as being co-written by Hucknall and his friend Neil Moss. Mick and Neil were bandmates in a group called the Frantic Elevators. That outfit was actually labeled as a punk band. And Mick clarified that Neil didn't actually co-write Holding Back the Years. Credit was given to Neil because Mick wanted to reward his friend for the material the pair did write together. Looking back fondly on all the great times that they had. That's a very cool gesture. I mean, one of his biggest songs, and he gave him a co-write. It's amazing. Actually, Holding Back the Years was first recorded and performed by the Frantic Elevators in 1979. But the I'll Keep Holding On chorus, that wasn't added until 5 years after the demise of the Frantic Elevators, and Mick formed Simply Red.
Holding back the years.
The track was revamped with a soulful ballad arrangement that became an international smash, but when it was first released in 1985, didn't even make the top 50 in the UK, and it wasn't a priority as a single in the US either, mostly because of its failure in the UK. The song's eventual good fortune should be partially credited to Huey Lewis. Yes, that Huey Lewis.
'Cause it's hard and so.
Stuart Levine, who was so instrumental in the ascension of Simply Red as the band's producer, he was good friends with Huey in 1985, and he played the Picture Book album for Huey and his bandmates. That's when they were visiting London. When he came back from his European trip with the news, he Huey was being interviewed by a prominent radio station in San Francisco, and the DJ interviewing Huey asked him if they had heard any new music in Europe that they liked. And Huey started just to gush over how much he loved the Simply Red album, especially the song Holding Back the Years.
Holding back the tears.
And then the DJ played the song. That lone play received an amazing reaction from listeners that were calling into the station. And I guess from that point on, a big buzz developed throughout West Coast radio for Holding Back the Years. Simply Red's label Elektra Records did an about face and re-released the single, and the song found ardent supporters all across the U.S., and Holding Back the Years caught fire on the second promotional campaign, which was completely unexpected. I guess occasionally there is justice in the world. When Holding Back the Years became a giant hit, Mick's estranged mother actually tracked him down. But at that point, Mick was unforgiving. My dad was with me every day. Mick would recount, did she really think that she could just waltz back into my life and that everything is okay? Mick recognized that seeing his mother after all those years would hurt his father, so he was extremely reluctant to attempt a reconciliation. It wasn't until more than 30 years after she left the family that Mick Hucknall reconnected with his mother, and she was living in Dallas, Texas. And to pour salt on an already burning wound, when Mick reunited with his mother, she told him that she had terminal cancer, which he found out was a lie. Of course, his mother denied that she had told her son that she had cancer. Nevertheless, mother and son remained divided. Sadly, Mick's father, Reg Hucknall, passed away from a heart attack in 2009. Mick gave him a very touching Years of Devotion tribute on a song simply titled Dad.
She left, you stayed.
That was included on Simply Red's 2015 album Big Love. Mick considers Dad and Holding Back the Years as the songs that really bookend not only his career, but his life.
What you braved.
Mick Hucknall teamed up with manager Elliot Rashman to form Simply Red as a 7-piece act in 1985. Rashman was tasked to find session players throughout the UK that would fit the jazzy, sophistopop, and soul criteria for the new ensemble. Mick Hucknall on lead vocals, there was Tony Bowers on bass, Fritz McIntyre on keyboards and backup vocals, there was Chris Joyce on the drums, Ian Kirkham played the sax. David Fryman was the first guitar player in the band, but he left the group after recording just one song, and he was replaced by guitarist Sylvan Richardson, who preferred to be billed with only his first name. Tim Kellett skillfully executed the brass section that really helped establish that distinctive sound of Simply Red. It was Tim who performed the musing trumpet on Holding Back the Years, and he tackled a trumpet solo when someone suggested it would sound cool. What a haunting solo. I just love that. I guess Tim had been listening to Miles Davis's album Kind of Blue, where Miles used a Harmon mute or wah-wah mute, which is a hollow plunger-shaped object with a small piece of cork that a player sticks inside the end of a trumpet or a trombone to achieve a bluesier, downhearted tone. Rarely do you hear a trumpet solo on a hip-hop song, and Kellett's instrumental solo was extraordinary. Kellett left Simply Red in 1991. In 1994, he formed the band Olive with former Nightmares on Wax member Robin Taylor Firth. Olive actually had a number one UK hit, You're Not Alone. That was in 1997. Stuart Levine, a revered saxophone player, in addition to being a well-regarded record producer, was a mentor for Mick Hucknall, and he was invaluable in shaping the musical direction of Simply Red. Levine worked on records with Minnie Riperton, Sly Stone, Huey Lewis and the News, Lionel Richie, Boz Scaggs, Aaron Neville, and a host of others. He had a really instinctive feel for how to inject the right amount of sophisticated R&B and soul into contemporary pop recordings. It really brought out the best in Mick Hucknall's enormous vocal talent. That part at the end, it gets me every time. It just showcases the genius of Mick's extravagant voice.
I said, ooh, yeah.
Now, Holding Back the Years steadily rose to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 on the UK singles chart in 1986. It was also number 1 in Ireland and in Canada. Demonstrating its universal appeal, the track also received significant airplay on urban formatted radio stations in America. It hit number 29 on the Billboard R&B chart. It was one of the best-selling singles in America by a British act in 86 and 87. Holding Back the Years was the first of 2 number 1 hits for Simply Red here in America. The second was, of course, a remake of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes' sweet classic, If You Don't Know Me By Now. Simply Red was nominated for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals for Holding Back the Years at the Grammy Awards in 87. The band received back-to-back honors for Best British Group at the Brit Awards in 92 and 93. Perhaps because of its pervasive soulfulness, Holding Back the Years has been sampled by rap acts such as 8 Ball, MJG, Brand Nubian on their 1994 single Hold On. And Master P on his 96 song The Ghetto Won't Change, with Moby Dick singing the I'll Keep Holding On chorus there. There are also inspired interpretations of the track by several luminaries like the Isley Brothers, that was in 96. And Etta James, actually, in 2006. In 1997, Mick Hucknall won an Outstanding Achievement Award from the Music of Black Origin Awards, despite being white. You know, when I recorded this song off of the radio with my boombox and my Memorex recordable cassette tapes, this was in the summer of 86. I used to do that all the time. It was very different from the songs on the radio at that moment. I mean, this is the time of Genesis, Invisible Touch. Janet Jackson, Nasty. El DeBarge, Who's Johnny? Billy Ocean was on the charts of There'll Be Sad Songs to Make You Cry. Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Glory of Love by Peter Cetera. I mean, happy, lovey-dovey, poppy songs. This one was achingly melancholy. I mean, it seemed to whisk me away to another world. It's a song that for me, like I said, decades later, it's held up better than those other songs I just mentioned. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all these songs for a variety of reasons, but emotionally, Holding Back the Years has just grown richer and more multi-layered. And it has everything to do with its creator. Mick Hucknall's voice, his vocal style, he has an impassioned emotional grit that was undoubtedly developed during his impoverished and traumatic childhood. The authenticity of Mick's heavy experience and his internal anguish is powerfully manifested in his performance on Holding Back the Years. Just a beautiful, timeless piece of self-analysis that re-examines the past in order to move forward to the future. I mean, it's what many of us are experiencing later in our lives, the September of our years, if you will, with all the challenges that we face in this fallen world. I find myself re-examining my past every day on this channel, for instance, still desperately holding on to my memories of my late father, while also trying to stop my own children from growing up too fast so that I can create precious memories with them and with my wife. Holding Back the Years is the epitome of these feelings. Holding back the fears that haunted me for so long that in some cases have actually come to pass. And this song makes me realize that I actually survived them. Like the song says, when somebody hears, listen to the fear that's gone.
Listen to the fear that's gone.
All these years later, when I listen to this song, I realize that I'm no longer holding back. I'm letting go and I'm embracing with hope and faith.
That's all I have today.
Leave us a comment about this perfect #1 hit from 1986. What are your memories of it? What are your thoughts on Simply Red? And Mick, tell us below. If you like our content, we do invite you to be a full-time part of our community by subscribing below. Make sure to check out our merch at professorofrock.com and our Patreon. All these things help us keep this music alive, this channel going. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk to you soon.